welcome off the rack. I'm Sal.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Tiffany.
This is the comic book review show where we took a comic book from last week and then review it based on its art, writing, and story, and then at the end give you our recommendations for books that are coming out this week on Wednesday. Today we're talking about Amazing Spider-Man number 23, co-written by Dan Slott and Christos Gage, with art by Giuseppe Camuncoli. This is the main Amazing Spider-Man title, and of course, it's a tie-in with the other main event series, Clone Conspiracy. If you don't read Clone Conspiracy number 4, you'll probably have no idea what's happening in Amazing Spider-Man, like these two people on the couch. What'd you guys think of Amazing Spider-Man number 23, a Clone Conspiracy tie-in?
It's not terrible. I will say that I think for a Spider-Man fan, there's a lot of good stuff that's in there. I think the dialogue is not that bad, but overall, I couldn't care less about this book.
Tiffany?
The tarantula was there.
Yes! Everyone that has been lost in Spider-Man's life, friend or foe, is back to life, and that includes the tarantula.
But that was it. Like, I was like, you know, they gave that warning at the beginning. If you didn't read Clone Conspiracy number 4, don't buy this. It was going to ruin things for you.
Yes.
We had to read it for Off the Rack. It wasn't going to ruin it because I'm not reading Clone Conspiracy.
Nope.
But...
Love those warnings that say, don't buy this comic.
Well,
why would you ever have that?
They were saying not to read it first. I guess the idea is you
buy
both.
it and then sit on it and wait.
Just hold it.
In anticipation.
Clutching it in your hands. But not too hard. You don't want to ruin it.
Real bad.
No. I am a huge Spider-Man fan, and the reconciliation of Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy, something that probably some fans are interested in, I guess. But what was interesting was, number one, the dialogue was primarily between those two characters, and it was entirely cyclical. Everything that they said outside the house was the same thing they said inside the house.
Yeah.
Was the same thing they said when they left the house and went back outside. It was just a long, drawn-out discussion that kind of echoes the same things that we've been saying on this show for the last several months, which is, why should I care about you? I've met like a dozen of you, and you've all melted before my eyes. There's no difference between you and all the other fakers because the real Gwen Stacy's dead. And she's like, how dare you say those things? And then sure enough, at the end of the book, she turns into a carrion monster like everybody else. Like, because she's a clone!
Did you say a carrion monster?
Yeah.
Is that what they do?
No.
It's just like rotting meat, you're saying?
Well, no, there's an actual villain called Carrion, who's like a zombie.
Oh,
And they all kind of are those now. What'd you guys think of the art for the series? Or for the story, anyway?
I like that his name is Giuseppe Camuncoli, because that's a fun name.
It's a fun name, isn't it? It's fun to say.
Hey, Giuseppe.
Yeah, Camuncoli. What's going on?
Yeah, it wasn't good or bad either way. It was just neutral, and that's not good. You can't be neutral.
I'm not gonna say he can't draw a bowl of fruit, or an outside setting, or a chair. He seems to be struggling with the faces of the characters. Like, that whole sequence of Peter in profile and Gwen in this weird, like, 3/4 version, it was just, I was like, what is happening?
Yep. I have never liked Giuseppe Camuncoli's art, especially on Amazing Spider-Man. He was brought in during Superior Spider-Man. I said, boy, this villain artist really needs to go soon. And Slott has championed him, and he has been, like, the mainstay artist for Amazing Spider-Man pretty much since Superior Spider-Man. And every time that he's not on the book, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll pick up this issue. But then he comes back, and it just doesn't work. And everybody seems to love his art, which is kind of baffling to me. Because all the faces are weird. They're not bad, necessarily, although everyone kind of looks like a Frankenstein monster.
Yeah.
Unless they're in profile. And then it's kind of not great. Like, look at the kiss behind me, and tell me what she's kissing. Or if she's not just breathing. It's really weird, and it's not good.
A secret.
You know, it could also be, I don't know who's doing the coloring on this book, but, like, maybe get a different colorist for Camuncoli's art.
It's a
like,
little
they're
flat.
not doing them any service.
No.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. There's something that's not right. And maybe his pencils look better. Like, maybe they need a different anchor.
Mm-hmm.
But, like, everything's very static. There are moments, though, like, and I'm not a huge fan of it, but, like, it's interesting, like, when they're crying, it reminds me of the old, like, pop art.
Yes.
You know, and that's kind of cool, because it's this kind of fun throwback.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not enough for me.
It goes nowhere.
Oh, yeah,
You have
well,
the entire book
it
talking
has to-
about dialogue.
Yeah,
Well,
it
it can't.
It can't go anywhere, because
can't.
it's a tie-in.
But even then, like, the entire thing of back and forth where he's like, look, you're not real.
And she's like,
I
no,
know
but
it's
I
not you."
am, though.
No, but I am. And then when at the end, she's like, Peter!
He's
He
like,
goes,
oh no! But
no! Let's throw all that out the window! It's
Yeah.
like, Oh my god, pull yourself together, you idiot!
It's like, you've seen Gwen die 1,000 times. The only cool thing about Clone Conspiracy number 4 is, you know, Ben Reilly, the other clone, is back from the dead, and he's the one who's resurrecting everybody. And he's like, Peter, together, you and I, we will resurrect Uncle Ben, and that'll be my final gift to you.
I'm sorry, I thought it was Miles Warren!
Oh yeah, no, as it turns out, the guy who looks just like Peter Parker under that stupid mask is actually Peter Parker, aka Ben Reilly, the original clone from the Clone Saga. But,
Thank you for calling that, by the way.
yeah, I called that long ago. It was just like, oh, that's Ben Reilly. Why? Because he's wearing a stupid mask and he looks just like Peter Parker.
And he's not taking it off, period.
Yeah, at all. Like when he pees, he's like, well...
It's like a Shyamalan movie.
hard.
You take off the mask. Oh, it's somebody else! What a twist!
But he says that he's Miles Warren. Anyway, he says, like, Peter, you and I, we're going to resurrect Uncle Ben. And he's like, you're never going to resurrect Uncle Ben. Because if you did, you'd know that he'd be disappointed in you. And he's like, no! And that's when he hatches his nefarious scheme. He's like, fuck you and fuck everything. This is all bullshit. And then he turns everyone into monsters.
Oh, that's why he turns them into monsters?
Yeah. Because Peter's like, I'm not going to help you.
So
and Uncle Ben wouldn't endorse this.
That's what
like,
he says
that.
over in front of him? Like when he goes over to talk to him in front of the store?
Yes.
That happened really fast.
It happened real fast in this issue. Because...
I was like, what? Okay.
Which is weird because Slott co-wrote this issue, so he knows how long it takes.
Right, because like the moment between Gwen and her dad was not that long. So I was like, what the fuck did he say?
I thought it was just like, hey, come on, man, this isn't right. Oh, you know what?
Oh, yeah? No.
Everyone attack now!
Yeah.
I figured he went over there, he's like, your suit's stupid.
Yeah. Everyone knew it was you. You weren't fooling anybody. Yeah, that's what it might as well have been. Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man number 23 is a pass for me. I can't recommend this book. If you even if you want to see Gwen and Peter talk to each other, like
it's not worth it.
It's not really that deep, and it's not very interesting, and there's no new ground, despite the fact there's a kiss. Who cares? Peter doesn't like it or anything, so
he's just kissing the clone.
Yeah, it's fake. He doesn't even. By the way, first time he never kisses the clones throughout the whole like clone saga.
Well, she's more kissing him than.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah. But anyway, do you guys recommend this issue for anybody? I can't.
I don't even know anymore.
I don't know who would like this.
I know a few people who are excited about this, but
okay.
But good for you. I hope you got your money's worth. But anyway, Amazing Spider-Man 23 from Dan Slott, Christos Gage, and of course Giuseppe Camuncoli. That's that.
So my recommendation this week is Odyssey of the Amazons #1. It's written by Kevin Grievous. You know, the werewolf from Underworld, that crazy one. And art by Ryan Benjamin. It just seems like it's a really cool book. It's a story about how the Amazons, like years before Wonder Woman is actually born, are fighting for freedom and exploring places, and they fight monsters and cool things. And apparently it's about a main character, Hesia, who I'm not entirely familiar with, but the art looks really cool. And the fact that it's a warrior book, like, I'm always on board for something like that. So I highly recommend you pick it up.
This week I gotta recommend Action Comics number 972 from Dan Jurgens and Steven Segovia. This is probably the wrap-up of Superman and Lex Luthor teaming up to save Lex Luthor from time judges or something. I don't know. It's fun and cool. It's just classic high-flying superheroics. But I feel like there's going to be some clues about what's happening in the overall DC Rebirth event kind of undercurrent story. So I think this is an essential pickup because it's going to give you another tease as to what's going to happen in the future of DC. So check that out.
So apparently this is a big buying week for me because I have something coming out from Marvel, DC, and 2 things from Image. So yeah, we gotta work on spacing these things out a little better, guys, because it's just gonna work out better for me. But let's start over in Marvel. Doctor Strange number 16 is coming out. It was supposed to come out last week, I believe, but it got delayed. But we're gonna be getting it this week. Still written by Jason Aaron, still with art by Chris Bachalo. This is gonna be wrapping up the Blood in the Aether like arc that's been going on. So we've been working through a bunch of Doctor Strange's Rogues Gallery. And of course, if you're working through that, you're working up to a big fight, which means that we're going to be seeing Doctor Strange battling Dormammu, which I'm very excited to see, especially with Strange in the state that he's in, and with Dormammu seemingly untouched by what happened in the previous arc. So I'm excited to see what happens with this and where it's going to go. Over at DC, I have the distinct honor of telling you guys about Doom Patrol number 4. I'm very excited about it. I actually have my advanced copy here, so I've already read this, so I can definitely recommend this. This is part of the Young Animals imprint, which means that it is for mature readers, so it doesn't hold any punches in here. It's just as weird as the previous incarnations of Doom Patrol, and Gerard Way, who's been writing this, who you might know as the lead singer from My Chemical Romance and author of Umbrella Academy, has been spearheading this whole Young Animal imprint, and he is a huge fan of especially the Grant Morrison run of Doom Patrol, and you find a lot of elements of that in here, a lot of homages to it. If you've never been into Doom Patrol, this is a great book, I think, to try to introduce you to it. I'd go back, pick up issue 1, but definitely get 2 and 3 at the same time. I really love this book. Over in Image, I gotta just make sure that you guys know that Reborn number 4 is coming out by Greg Pulo and Mark Miller. I'm loving that book still, so I'm totally on board for that. But the big one for me from Image, of course, is Saga number 42, written by Brian K. Vaughan with art by Fiona Staples. This is it, guys. This is the last issue of this arc. Then they're going to take their break. This has been building. They're stuck on this comet, and we all know where the comet's going. Actually, I'm just going to tell you, the comet is going to hit the time suck, and I'm very excited about that, but not. And we know that these guys don't mind killing off characters, so oh my god, I can't even handle this. So I'm both looking forward to and totally not looking forward to this issue.
Thanks a lot for watching this episode of Off the Rack, everybody, and of course those were our recommendations and a review of Amazing Spider-Man number 23 from Marvel Comics that came out last week. We'll see you guys next week with another episode. I'm Sal.
I'm Ben.
And I'm Tiffany.
Thanks a lot for watching, and keep on reading.